Hello, I'm Matt and I am a psychic medium, but it has taken me quite a while to feel comfortable saying that. In my podcast, I explore the up and down journey of getting comfortable with my psychic and mediumship abilities. I will be talking with guests about their experiences, whilst turning the spotlight onto myself and figuring out how I can embrace my gifts while living a normal life. So welcome to the Psychic Explorer. Hello everyone and welcome to this episode of the Psychic Explorer. I thought I'd take you on a little walk today. It's my day off and this morning it was raining. So I thought, right, now it's stopped, go out and enjoy the birds, enjoy the lush greenery that is growing up all around us. And yeah, talk about the topic that I want to talk about today, which is meditation. I put out a post on Instagram the other week asking what you guys would like to hear more about. And the resounding result was meditation. So I thought I would talk about this on the walk today, because actually what I want to talk about and tackle today, big old blackbird somewhere, maybe, is that meditation doesn't have to be traditional. Oh, and as I'm stood here, there is a deer looking at me. Oh wow, that's brilliant. See, this is it. You go out for a walk and you see some beautiful stuff. I'm so blessed to live where I live. It may not be the prettiest of villages in Norfolk, but it has got some incredible countryside and nature on my doorstep. Literally within like a 5-minute walk of my door, I am in open countryside, surrounded by trees and nature, and this huge deer just pricked its ears up and stared at me and is now moving along. Sorry, slight distraction. This is the danger of recording an episode in the countryside. I might get distracted. In fact, I will get distracted a lot. There's a sluice there. So meditation. I'll get there eventually. Doesn't have to be traditional. So I want to take this episode in a few sections. So I want to start off with, what is meditation? In my mind, meditation is a relaxing state which allows you to connect with your deeper self. And through that, sometimes you may be able to connect further. And what I mean by that is potentially to spirits, to ancestors, to whatever it is that your belief system engages with. Normally, meditation involves breath work. It can involve visualization. The easiest way, I think, personally, to get into meditation is through guided meditations. But of course, meditation is really personal. It can be a quick 10-minute thing where you can sit down, close your eyes, and because you might have a chatterbox brain, it only lasts 10 minutes, and sometimes you may not even be able to manage that, and that's fine. Other times, it can be sitting for hours on end, cross-legged, in the lotus position, chanting Om. You know, it really is different to everyone. And I really want to also stress that it is a practice. It's something that doesn't always come naturally. And especially in our really busy world, it's something that needs to be worked on. I do find that there tends to be a romanticization of meditation. Quite often when I'm scrolling on Instagram, I don't like doing that, by the way, but I do catch myself doing it invariably from time to time. I often see people videoing themselves meditating. They have a specific place. They have an altar maybe with things that mean something to them. Maybe they are totems, incense, candles, crystals, whatever it might be. That, in my mind, is sort of like the traditional meditation, together with, the Buddhist monk sat cross-legged in a temple or under a tree in quiet contemplation, maybe so at one with nature that the birds and the squirrels and all the creatures come up to them, because that monk or that individual is so at one with the world that even the creatures are no longer afraid of them. But this is an honest podcast. This is about my experience so far. So what I'm about to say in this episode is just my experience. It's just my thoughts. I'm not an oracle, so I am not the be-all and end-all. It's simply my opinion as it stands at the moment. For me, the reality is very different. Those traditional ideas of meditation can actually be quite overwhelming and can also trigger my my imposter syndrome, as it were. When I was in Asia, I was really excited to see and experience a quiet place. To sit down, to meditate, whether it be in a temple or in the grounds of Angkor Wat, or on a beach, somewhere where I could feel, it's romanticized. Stereotypically, you think you can go there to connect straight away, and I found it really difficult. Because when I went to these places, and let's use the example of the temple, these places were almost used for anything but meditating. There were children running around playing in the shade of the temple, and that's lovely to see. It was really nice, but it was not conducive to a traditional quiet meditation. Old women met up there for a gossip. I even went to one place and there was this mum sat there with her toddlers, and the toddlers were just trying to cool off in the shade, but the mum was sat there on her mobile phone playing Britney Spears' Toxic at full volume from her mobile phone. And anyone that knows me knows that the number one thing you can do to wind me up is to play a sound from your mobile phone. There's something about that tone that just grates me. I don't know what it is, but oh my God, if you want to piss me off, that's what you do. So I wasn't able to relax and meditate as I had wanted. And that was okay, because I'll go back to what I said a minute ago. Meditation is a practice. It's not a perfection. You're never going to perfect it, because we all live human lives. Oh, I've just come to a gate, so excuse the noise. There's the chain. Also, there are some cows ahead. And last time I did this walk, I had my mum's dog Reggie, and they almost tried to stampede me. So I'm always very cautious of them. But there is a big old gully separating me and them. So hopefully they'll keep in their place. Hello, Moo. You're not sure who I am? You're not sure what I'm doing? No, I'm not sure what I'm doing either. Well, they're very curious. They're just staring at me. Hello. I can't tell if they're male or female. And there are also nesting swans ahead. So does that mean I can't go near them? Does that mean that I'm very aware this is making very bad podcasting. Right, let's walk past this swan and see if they start hissing or attacking me. Hopefully this should be okay. Hello. Yep, hello. There you go. I don't know if you heard that, but there were two big old swans, and one of them was sat on a nest right on the side of the pathway. Beautiful big nest made out of straw, and they both started hissing at me as I walked past. So what was my introduction to meditation? Well, I've already told you in episode 1 that when Mum used to come home from her circles or whatever she used to come home from, she never actually said, I don't remember what she said she was doing, but she used to come home and say, "Oh, do you want to try meditation I just done?" And we would both say, "Yeah, okay, let's go for it." So she put on some music, and me and my sister would lie out on the front room, heads on pillows, and my mum would guide us in her meditation that she had just learnt. And I would go off into some world that I would be exploring in my mind's eye. My sister would always find it difficult to come back because she'd find it so relaxing. And again, as I said already, she still finds that. She doesn't meditate very often because she does find it difficult to come out of there. But from that point on, I hadn't really done anything until after Mum died, and my idea of meditation was very traditional. Now, when I say that, I'm going to use that phrase quite a bit, traditional meditation. And what I mean by that, because it may mean different to you, but my idea of a traditional meditation is sitting down, closing your eyes, visualization, and trying to block the rest of the world out. There's another gate here, so I may make some clattering noise if I can work out how it works. How does it work? Okay, it's just a simple chain that I can't undo. There we are, right? There we are. Okay, I'm in the field that I almost got trampled on last time, so if you hear a sudden stampede and then nothing, you know what's happened to me. God, they do scare me, these cows. They're far enough away, so that's fine, but I'm wondering where they're going to be when I come back. So yeah, so I started to go to Development Circle, and at the beginning of each session of that, they'd always do a meditation, and I found those meditations so relaxing, so good. I'd almost find myself going to the awareness circle, the development circle, just to get the meditations because I found them so relaxing. Meditation gave me a connection to something more. When I went into my meditations in Development Circle, I could feel those around me. I could feel so much. And I suppose at the beginning, I did it because, I mean, not only did it feel nice, but also it did give me that connection to Mum. It allowed me to have the conversation with her in my own mind's eye, to feel the hug that I was missing so much from her physically, because in my meditations, it would almost be tangible. I started that regular practice for 4 months. I started going to the development circle in August, and I started doing it really regularly. I set up my back bedroom as a really nice space. My God, I'm so unfit. I'm actually getting out of breath as I'm talking and walking. This is crazy. So I set up my back bedroom as a meditation space. I wouldn't go as far as say I made an altar, but I had some candles and I used to burn oils as I meditated, and I used to play a certain track on YouTube Music, which I'll actually link in the show notes because I do find it really beautiful and really meditative, for lack of a better word. I would do that regularly. I would say to my other half, I'm just going to go upstairs for half an hour. And that would be like 2-3 times a week. I'd go up there and just sit. And I'd find it really emotional. I found I was really connected. I would often find that when I felt the presence of Mum, I would come back to the room with a tear rolling down my eye. It was profound, it really was. And it was in those moments that I realised I was able to, I might hasten to use the phrase, remote view or astral project, move through time and space with just my mind. But it certainly felt that way. And those were the moments where I would say to my sister, were you doing X, Y, and Z today? And she would say, yes. How did you know? And I'd say, I saw it as I was meditating. I started, there's a plane. I should say that we live right under the flight path of Norwich Airport, and although it's hardly a busy international airport, we do get a few flights from Amsterdam each day, so there they go. But yeah, I started that regular practice and it only lasted 4 months. Is that right? Maybe 3. Yeah, I think it is. I think it is right. It's only about 4 months. Because when we had guests come over for Christmas, we also had to put the foldable bed out in the back bedroom, and that sort of interrupted my flow. And I never really went back to it. But what I will say is that my friend Kelly came down from Scotland, and she came down in the morning of her first night, and she said, do you meditate in that room? And I said, yeah, why? And she said, oh my God, the energy is so good. I can just feel it. The energy is such a good energy in that back room. I found that not only could I, remote view, again, I feel uncomfortable. Naturally, I feel uncomfortable using that phrase, remote view, but not only could I see things in my mind's eye, but I could also feel things for a sitter. So, for example, when I spoke about doing the Remembrance Sunday Zoom gallery call for a spiritualist church, I did a little meditation beforehand, and I found that I was getting a message come through from this mother, and I could feel her really strongly, and I said to her in my mind's eye, I said, okay, I know you're there. Step back for the moment. I know what character you are, and when I am live, then you can come through. If you are for someone in this room, and she did. She stepped back, and when it was her time, she came through, and her daughter could take it. She was a mum who prioritized good times and men. But I felt that message before I even knew who I was connecting to. And that's what I mean. You can connect to people through meditation. It does allow that. But like I say, then Christmas hit and my flow stopped. Life took over. We had travel coming up. We had my mum's cottage to deal with. We had a lot of stuff I had a lot of stuff going on. So my practice, my meditation practice really took a nosedive. And it has done ever since. Like I say, I want to be honest with you guys. I love light and rainbows and all that, but at the same time, I've got to be honest and tell you when things aren't. The reality is different from what the romanticized version is. When I do get to meditate now, I notice that my meditations are nowhere near as profound as they used to be. Whereas my meditations before were the beta, these meditations I have now are light. They're really not as profound as they used to be. I'm actually finding that recently when I meditate, I'm finding myself falling asleep. And I have to trust that actually at the moment, that is just what I need. That's what I need for my life right now. I don't necessarily need profound messages or proof of a connection, because I know that is there. And maybe that's why it has subsided, because I'm maybe used to that connection more. And, you know, as your body and mind get used to something, it normalizes it. But I definitely don't feel it as strongly as I used to. I'm just pausing because there's a farmer with his big old tractor, and I don't want to scare him off by talking to myself, thinking I'm even more nuts than I already look. Walking across a field with a microphone attached to my lapel of my coat, holding a mobile phone in one hand. Just gave me a gentle wave back to him. Always nice. Countryside etiquette dictates that you always say hello to complete strangers. My other half, whenever we do these walks, always says, why the hell do you say hello to these people? You wouldn't say hello to them if you're passing them in the street. And it's quite right, I wouldn't, but countryside etiquette does demand that you nod, wave, or say hello to complete and utter strangers who pass and cross your way. Right, so what was I saying? As I'm talking to you, the question is coming to my mind. Why did I put so much pressure onto myself? Because meditation does not have to be, in inverted commas, traditional. Many people feel that they are bad at meditating. They have a wandering mind that they can't keep still. They chatter to themselves. They can't quiet their inner voice. But actually, meditating does not have to be that sat in a dark room, closing your eyes. It can be something much more everyday. It can be painting. It can be reading. It can be dance or movement. It can be gardening. It can be driving. You know, when you're in that moment of, oh, how did I get here? Do not actively meditate while you are driving. There is my disclaimer for you. But you know, when you're driving along and you think, oh, don't remember getting here, that is a form of meditation. You're zoning out. It can be a walk, which is why I'm taking you on a walk today. I am not meditating because I'm talking to you, but when you're just walking along and you're admiring the countryside or admiring the landscape, that can be a form of meditation. If you are zoning out, I would argue you are meditating. It's easier said than done, and I try not to beat myself up too much about not doing traditional meditating or not practicing traditional meditation, because I find that I do zone out quite a lot. In my day job, you know, I'm a gardener. You will not find me without my earbuds in my ear, listening to a podcast. Invariably, it's about politics or spirituality or history. And although you might argue that listening to a podcast about politics is not particularly meditative, I would happen to agree with you, especially at the moment. However, it is just background noise sometimes. And I have to remind myself that I have been doing an 8-hour, 9-hour day gardening, getting my hands in nature, making a difference, creating something, whilst zoning out. That is meditation. So actually, when I look back and feel guilty that I don't regularly sit in my back bedroom with my incense or my oils burning, listening to my meditation music, doesn't matter. I'm still meditating on a day-to-day basis. For me, meditation is a moment where you're able to reflect and reach the inner you. And it is so easy to put pressure on oneself, as it is in everyday life. And my goodness, we are supposed to be spiritual beings. We are supposed to be enlightened beings. Why the hell do we put pressure on ourselves on something that should be joyful and natural and about us? I've had a question come in, and they've asked, does meditation need a set purpose? Well, I'm going to answer yes and no. That's a chicken's answer, isn't it? Yes, I know. But what I mean by that is that it doesn't need a purpose. I don't feel that it needs a purpose, but it can help. And again, this is just my own opinion, but I don't feel meditation needs that purpose. I think intention is more important than purpose. For me, the word purpose implies that there is a specific result which is required. And this is not always possible, especially in spirituality. You can't guarantee you're going to get the thing that you want. Whereas intention, to me, implies a desire, but not an expectation. I hope that makes sense. Before a reading, I will set that intention of being on. I will visualize a light above my head turning on to notify those who want to impart a message through me that I am ready and that they can do that. They can start lining up. However, to not have that purpose, not have that intention, to just sit and see what comes through is also meaningful. Oh, this is nice. All right, I just want to stop here. I'm walking across the fields and I suddenly come to a village. So this is why you probably hear traffic noise in the background or something. But there's an old church. It's Flint church. And it's a ruin of a church. But it's just a skeleton of this building in the woods. It's quite something. I'll take a picture and a video. So what was I saying? So I was saying, sorry, I got distracted by a church. What was I saying about my love of history and old things? You can just sit and see what comes through, because actually that is when subtle messages from yourself or your subconscious can come through to provide some form of enlightenment, some form of, I don't know what the word is, but it can do that. Now this is very apt. I was talking earlier on about being in a temple, a religious place, and being able to meditate, but it being too noisy in Asia. I have walked, I don't know, 1 kilometre, 2 kilometres from my house, and there is this church which I knew was here, but I had no idea how lovely it was. This old church, and there's no one here. It's set amongst trees and a small graveyard. It's just a shell of a building, and there's a small waist-high gate. I'm going to open it. And step in. And I'm just going to sit in here quietly with you. If it's safe for you to do so, just quiet yourself. Close your eyes. Take a deep breath in. Hold that breath and let it go. Take another deep breath in. Hold it and let it go. And repeat that a few more times. And just listen to the atmosphere of this very old church. that has a plaque with the year 1704. I'm going to call you back. I want to focus on my voice. Take another deep breath in and let it go. Take another deep breath in. Feel your surroundings. Be aware of the surface that your feet are touching. And when you're ready, just open your eyes. Well, I hope you found that relaxing. I was in that churchyard and I thought it would be remiss of me to not take you through a very short meditation. So I hope that you were able to stop whatever you were doing, close your eyes and just take a moment for you. Guys, if you have any questions, I'd love to hear from you. You can find me on Instagram, Facebook and Threads at the.psychic.explorer. Alternatively, if you like what I'm doing on this podcast, it would be really helpful if you could like, subscribe, maybe make a comment or even rate my podcast on whatever platform it is that you are listening to this on. But for now, let's get back to the walk in the glorious Norfolk countryside where I contemplate meditation. I'm going to try. There's actually a black door here, a small black door at the back of this ruin of a church. And I've got a feeling there is a proper church behind it. Let's have a look. Oh, wow. I've opened this door and there is a small church with a beautiful wooden roof. Or rather a wooden ceiling. I'm just going to sit for a moment, just absorb the energy, absorb the atmosphere. So, how does meditation help with psychic work? Well, I think, and again, this is all my opinion, but it helps you to tune in before a reading. It helps to quiet the mind. Same as prayer. That's all prayer is, in my opinion. I think prayer is a meditation, is a form of meditation. I'm sat here in this church and there's a small wooden altar and I'm aware that people use this space to pray, to essentially meditate on an intention. So much of psychic work is shadow work. And what I mean by that is that Shadow work is working through one's own issues. Quietening the mind can help us meditate and allows us to feel our inner self. It is easier to connect after a meditation as the mind and body is calmed. Many mediums will promote sitting in the power, which is basically taking time for you to charge your psychic battery, as it were. Although I don't think it is strictly necessary to do this in order to connect before a reading. Building a regular meditation practice into your routine can help your mind and body connect more easily. If you are already in a routine where you are regularly meditating, regularly praying, I don't necessarily think you have to set aside a time each time you want to connect, because you will begin to connect much easier. I'm sat here in this church, I've closed my eyes, and I'm just listening to the distant chatter of the birds on the other side of these thick, thick walls, as well as listening to myself, the inner me. And I'm questioning what I want you to take away from this episode, rather than me just nattering into the ether, as I feel like I tend to do. I want this to have a purpose. And as I sit here, I am made aware of how busy our lives are. These modern lives that we have are so full of things, so full of tasks, so full of conflicting priorities. If meditation to you is sitting in a church quietly, if meditation to you is reading your favorite novel, if meditation to you is getting your hands dirty in the garden, if meditation to you is standing at the door of your child's bedroom and watching them sleep, then that is absolutely good enough. There is so much pressure to conform in this world that we live in, to conform to an ideal standard of being. And I think meditation has this high bar. As I said earlier on, people can film themselves meditating in their space, and that is really good for them. But I feel that that doesn't necessarily help relieve the pressure that meditation has to be practiced in a certain way or done in a certain manner. If you are able to quiet your mind, if you are able to allow your thoughts in, then that, my friend, is meditating. And I think that is all I want to say on the matter. But I think you can probably hear the difference in my voice when I'm walking out in the fields, talking to you, reading from my very brief notes about what I wanted to say, compared to my voice and how I'm talking to you now from this very cocooned atmosphere where it's just me in this building. Just walking back across the fields now, back home, back towards home. And I wanted to say a farewell for this episode. I am going to release a bonus episode after this one. And that bonus episode is a guided meditation which I have put together. It's always difficult because, you know, meditations are so personal. And there are so many out there. You know, if you just go onto YouTube or Spotify or whatever, you can always find a meditation that someone has put together. So I do sometimes feel like I am just adding a drop of water into a rather large ocean. But this meditation that I have recorded is a version of a meditation that I was taken through. It was a guided meditation that I was taken through once. I've adapted it slightly. And the aim of it is to help you develop your clairs. So your clairvoyance, your mind's eye, your clairsentience, your feeling, your clairaudience, the way that you feel and hear spirit. And I don't want to put anyone off. If you do not consider yourself a psychic or a medium, you can still do this. You can still do this meditation. It's basically just guiding you through a place and allowing you to tune in and allowing you to experience the feelings that I feel when I am channeling a message for someone. If you've ever wanted to know what it feels like when a psychic or a medium says, I can feel, or I can see, or I can hear, then this meditation I feel is quite a good one to do, because it will allow you that experience without necessarily connecting to anyone in particular, without opening up any doors that you may feel are scary at the moment. I promise you it is not scary, it's very relaxing. It is a long one, it's like half an hour long, so certainly do not play this bonus meditation if you are driving. If you do choose to listen to it, I'd love to hear some feedback, because I feel like it's something I'd like to do more of, but yeah, don't know if you want it or not, so let me know. So I think I'm going to leave it there. The next episode is a guest episode. I've got Nicola with me. She is my circle leader, and she is on to talk about circle. What is circle? Who's it for? What to expect from it? And she's also going to talk to me about her journey on this path. She's been on it longer than I have. So yeah, if you enjoyed the episode with Dana Willie, then you will definitely enjoy this episode. And all that leaves me to say is have a wonderful rest of your day. Maybe find a quiet time, just close your eyes, or do something that you enjoy, which quiets your mind. Sending you all my love. Take care, guys. Bye.